In the summer of 2007, I had my inaugural encounter with Mary E. After arranging an interview with her husband, Terrence, of 15 years, Mary initially consented. Being an amateur writer gathering material for early college assignments and potential fiction, I wasn't a journalist seeking the scoop. We scheduled our meeting for a weekend during my unrelated business trip to Chicago. Yet at the 11th hour, Mary had a change of heart, barricading herself in their bedroom, refusing to meet me. Alongside Terrence, I waited outside the door, pen poised, jotting down notes while he attempted, in vain, to soothe her. Mary's words were disjointed, aligning with the anticipated pattern. Her tearful voice hinted at the turmoil within, often railing against an incomprehensible narrative of her dreams, her nightmares. Upon cessation, Terrence apologized profusely, and I, maintaining composure, accepted his apology. After all, I wasn't a journalist chasing headlines. I was an inquisitive youth seeking enlightenment. Moreover, I pondered the prospect of uncovering similar cases with the right effort and resources. In 1992, Mary E. served as the CISOP for a modest Chicago-based bulletin board system. It was then she encountered Smile.Chuck, a moment that irrevocably altered her existence. At the time, she and Terrence had been wed for merely 5 months. Mary stands as one among an estimated 400 individuals who stumbled upon the image, initially posted as a hyperlink on the BBS. Curiously, she remains the lone individual to openly discuss the ordeal. The rest either linger in anonymity or perhaps have passed away. In 2005, during my sophomore year in high school, I encountered Smile.Chuck through my burgeoning fascination with web-based phenomena. Mary emerged as the primary figure linked to what is colloquially known as Smile.Dog, the enigmatic entity supposedly depicted by Smile.Chuck. What captivated me, aside from the morbid allure of cyberlore and my penchant for such tales, was the scarcity of credible information. Many dismissed its existence as mere hearsay or fabrication. The enigma surrounding Smile.Chuck lies in its elusive nature. Despite its central focus on a digital image file, this file remains conspicuously absent from the vast expanse of the internet. While numerous doctored replicas proliferate online, particularly on platforms like the image ward 4chan, notably its /x/focused paranormal subboard, these are often dismissed as fabrications. Their failure to induce the purported effects of the authentic Smile.Chuck, namely sudden onset temporal lobe epilepsy and acute anxiety, supports this skepticism. The alleged reactions triggered by viewing Smile.Chuck contribute to the skepticism surrounding it. Many regard the concept as preposterous, yet some attribute the reluctance to acknowledge its existence as much to fear as to disbelief. Notably, neither Smile.Chuck nor Smile.Dog merits a mention on Wikipedia, despite the site hosting articles on other, potentially more scandalous shock sites like Hello.Chiv or Two Girls One Cup. Attempts to create a Smile.Chuck-related page are promptly rebuffed by the encyclopedia's vigilant administrators. Encounters with Smile.Chuck have attained legendary status in internet folklore. While Mary E.'s ordeal is well documented, unverified tales of Smile.Chuck surfacing on early Usenet forums abound. There's even a persistent narrative suggesting that in 2002, a hacker inundated the forums of humor website Something Awful with Smile.Dog images, reportedly triggering epileptic episodes in nearly half the forum's users. Rumors suggest Smile.Chuck circulated widely in the mid to late 90s, appearing as an attachment to chain emails bearing the subject line Smile. God loves you. Despite the extensive reach of these endeavors, few individuals come forward claiming first-hand experience, and no trace of the file or any associated links has ever been unearthed. Those who purport to have glimpsed Smile.Chuck often jest weakly about being too preoccupied to save a copy. Yet their descriptions of the photo remain remarkably consistent. A dog-like entity, reminiscent of a Siberian husky, bathed in camera flash, set against a dim backdrop. The only discernible detail besides the creature is a human hand emerging from the shadows, typically described as beckoning. However, it's the creature's grin that captivates attention. The split muzzle revealing two immaculate rows of human-like teeth, gleaming with an eerie precision. This is, naturally, not an immediate reaction, but rather a recollection from those affected, who assert that the image replays incessantly in their minds during epileptic episodes. These fits often persist indefinitely, sometimes even manifesting as vivid and unsettling nightmares. While medication is a common treatment, its efficacy varies from case to case. In Mary E.'s case, it appeared her medication was not sufficiently effective. This realization dawned after my visit to her residence in 2007, prompting me to reach out to various folklore and urban legend communities in search of others willing to discuss their encounters with Smile.Chuck. Initially, there was no response, and my efforts gradually faded from memory as I began my college studies. However, in early March 2008, I received an unexpected email from Mary. From Mary@.net. Subject: Last summer's interview. To Jamel@.com. Dear Mr. L., I deeply regret my conduct during your visit last summer. Please understand that my actions were not a reflection of your character, but rather a result of my personal struggles. Looking back, I realize I could have handled the situation with more grace, and I hope you can forgive my behavior. At the time, fear consumed me. You see, for 15 years, I have been haunted by Smile.Chuck. Every night, Smile.Dog visits me in my dreams. It may sound absurd, but it's the truth. The dreams, or rather nightmares, possess an eerie quality unlike any other I've experienced. I am immobilized, unable to speak, and the only thing before me is the dreadful scene from that image. I see the beckoning hand, and I see Smile.Dog. It speaks to me. Of course, it's not a dog. What it truly is remains unclear. It demands that I comply with its wishes in exchange for leaving me in peace. Its terms are simple. I must spread the word. That's how it phrases its commands, and I understand its meaning perfectly. It wants me to share it with someone else. And I could. Following my ordeal, a week later, a manila envelope, devoid of any return address, arrived in my mailbox. Within lay only a 3.5-inch floppy diskette. Without needing confirmation, I immediately recognized its contents. Contemplating my choices consumed much of my time. I deliberated showing it to a stranger, a colleague. I even considered sharing it with Terrence, though the notion repulsed me. But what then? If Smile.Dog honored its pledge, I could find solace in sleep. Yet, if it deceived me, what recourse would I have? And who could guarantee that a worse fate wouldn't befall me if I complied with the creature's demand? So, for 15 years, I remained inert, concealing the diskette among my possessions. Each night for 15 years, Smile.Dog visited me in my dreams, urging me to disseminate its message. Throughout those years, I remained steadfast, despite enduring hardships. Many of my fellow sufferers from the BBS board, where I first encountered Smile.Chuck, ceased to communicate. I heard rumors of suicides. Others vanished without a trace, leaving me deeply concerned. Forgive me, Mr. L., but last summer, when you and my husband were contacted about an interview, I reached my breaking point. I resolved to hand you the floppy diskette, indifferent to whether Smile.Dog spoke the truth or not. I longed for relief. You were a stranger, devoid of ties to my plight, and I anticipated no remorse when you accepted the diskette as part of your research, sealing your fate. Before your arrival, I came to a realization. I was scheming to ruin your life. The thought revolted me then, as it does now. I am filled with shame, Mr. L., and I pray this cautionary tale will dissuade you from further delving into the enigma of Smile.Chuck. You may, in due course, encounter someone who is, if not weaker than I, then far more depraved, someone who will readily obey Smile.Dog's commands. Cease your pursuit while you remain intact. Yours sincerely, Mary E. Later that month, Terrence reached out, distraught over his wife's suicide. As he sorted through her belongings, closing email accounts and the like, he stumbled upon the aforementioned message. He was a shattered man. Tears streamed down his face as he implored me to heed his wife's counsel. He confessed to discovering the diskette, which he promptly incinerated until it turned into naught but a foul-smelling heap of charred plastic. What troubled him most, however, was how the diskette emitted a hiss as it melted away, akin to some kind of beast, he lamented. I must confess my uncertainty in how to react to this revelation initially. Initially, I entertained the notion that it might be a jest, the couple perhaps jesting about the situation to provoke a reaction from me. However, a swift perusal of several Chicago newspapers' digital obituaries confirmed the demise of Mary E. There was no mention of suicide, naturally, in the report. I resolved, therefore, to momentarily set aside any further exploration of the topic of Smile.Jug, particularly given the impending finals looming at the end of May. Yet, fate has a curious way of testing our resolve. Nearly a full year after my return from the ill-fated interview with Mary E., another email found its way into my inbox, to jamel@.com. From elzahar82@.com. Subject: Smile. Greetings. I stumbled upon your email address through a mailing list that suggested your interest in SmileDog. I have encountered it, and it is not as dire as the rumors suggest. I have forwarded it to you here, just spreading the word. The closing remark sent shivers down my spine. My email client indicated a single file attachment named, predictably, Smile.Jug. I pondered over downloading it for some time. It likely was a counterfeit, I surmised, and even if it wasn't, I harbored doubts regarding Smile.Jug's purported abilities. Though Mary E.'s narrative had rattled me, she might have been mentally unstable. How could a mere image possess the purported capabilities attributed to Smile.Jug? What manner of entity could shatter one's psyche solely through visual contact? And if such claims were inherently preposterous, why did the legend endure? Should I succumb to the temptation to download the image, to gaze upon it? And should Mary's assertions prove accurate, should Smile.Dog visit me in my dreams, urging me to disseminate its message, what course would I take? Would I emulate Mary's defiance, resisting the compulsion until my demise? Or would I succumb to the temptation to propagate the message, eager for respite? And if I were to choose the latter path, how could I bring myself to do it? Whom would I ensnare in turn? If I proceeded with my initial intention to compose a brief article on Smile.Jug, I surmised I could append it as corroborating evidence. Those who perused the article, those who took an interest, would be affected. Even assuming the authenticity of the Smile.Jug attached to the email, would I be so capricious as to save myself by such means? Could I spread the word? Yes, I could. Afterward, repeatedly, you try to convince yourself that it's merely an image, just a trivial depiction of a dog with artificial teeth digitally added. It's not frightening in the slightest, or at least it shouldn't instill fear in you. How could it? It's merely an image. These are the reassurances you offer yourself, yet deep down, you deceive yourself. The image indeed frightens you. There's something about that grin, too vast, brimming with too many teeth. It mirrors the ominous smile the big bad wolf wore when facing Red Riding Hood. A grin pregnant with menace and sharpness. A predatory grin. Once more, you attempt to suppress the notion, to dismiss it. But your efforts are futile. Even when you shut your eyes, it persists, grinning maniacally, the eyes blazing and piercing, etching into your consciousness, your very soul. At that moment, you realize you must rid yourself of it, to pass the image onto someone else, to heed the entity's directive and spread the word. You understand that you'll comply with these commands because you have no choice. For if you don't, you know that eventually it will come for you. The SmileDog creepypasta, often known as Smile.Jug, revolves around a purportedly cursed or demonic depiction of a Siberian husky wearing a menacing expression and sporting an exaggeratedly large grin adorned with what appear to be human teeth. As per the narrative, this image portraying Smile Dog embodies a demon or malevolent spirit that haunts and torments anyone who gazes upon it, subjecting them to horrifying visions and nightmares, compelling them to spread the word by sharing the image with others. The longer the victim refrains from disseminating the image, the more intense the haunting becomes, and failing to share the image results in Smile Dog assuming its true form, which could lead to the victim's demise, descent into madness, or, in many renditions, their abduction to hell. The original image linked with the Smile.Chbeg/Smile Dog creepypasta features a Siberian husky with an evidently digitally altered mouth. The husky is depicted as gray-black, with only its head and neck visible, characterized by prominent pointed ears. The dog's eyes are illuminated by the camera flash, giving them a luminous quality, and its gaze directly meets the lens, evoking a disquietingly human-like pose. However, the most unsettling aspect lies in the grin, which, besides being excessively wide for the mouth's capacity, appears to lack canine teeth, resembling those of a human or primate. Origin and development. The genesis of both the unaltered husky image and the inception of the modified version remains shrouded in mystery, their creator lurking in anonymity. This obscurity only heightens the tale's allure, suggesting that the image's origin might transcend mere digital manipulation by an individual posting their pet's picture. The elusiveness surrounding the precise genesis of the narrative seamlessly intertwines with the meta-narrative elements of the creepypasta itself. The narrator recounts the image's enigmatic nature, highlighting its vanishing trails on mainstream platforms and efforts to suppress any discourse concerning its origins or its enigmatic powers, hinting at clandestine forces at play, deterring public scrutiny of the image's background or its supernatural potency. Although the consensus points to the initial emergence of the creepypasta tale around 2008 on the /x/ board of 4chan, even this inception remains frustratingly vague and indistinct. Subsequent to this seminal posting, the trajectory of the story's dissemination becomes somewhat clearer. In 2009, an entry on Urban Dictionary provided an elucidation of the narrative, encapsulating it within the definition of the term Smile.Chbeg. Then, in April 2010, a thread initiated by Anonymous Ethan surfaced on the Movie Codec forums, deliberating on the image and its accompanying tale. Once more, the uncertain origins of the image were underscored by the thread's initiator, adding another layer of intrigue to the enigma surrounding its provenance.